Hi, I'm Rich Correll. This is my collection for Icons of Darkness. I've been collecting stuff for about 52 years. I'm glad you guys came to see it, and I hope you enjoy looking around here. It's been a lot of fun collecting this stuff over the years, and the funny thing is I've spent my whole career in comedy, but my hobby was just the polarity of comedy, was collecting all this stuff, so I hope you enjoy it. First we have some superheroes. This is all Michael Keaton. This is Michael Keaton's screen-used costume from Batman Returns. Next to Michelle Pfeiffer's screen-used costume is Catwoman from the same movie, and Danny DeVito from the same movie. And by the way, all the people in here have the exact size, weight, height, everything that the real actors are. DeVito in real life is only 4'11", so that's why he's so small. And Pfeiffer, who's only 5'3½", is on 4-inch heels. That's why she looks so big.
So you said this is your private collection.
Correct.
So what was like the first piece? How did this start for you?
Okay, well, the first piece I collected was actually 60 years ago, over 60 years ago, because I was an actor on a show called Leave It to Beaver.
Oh, okay.
And Beav and I were, and we're still good friends, we were huge horror movie fans, so we'd say to our makeup guy, hey, can you take us to the makeup lab? He finally gave in and did, and then we went up there, and of course we loved it, but we were surprised at all the stuff they were throwing in the trash. And I saw a head laying in the trash from a movie called Abbott and Costello Meet Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, where Karloff played Mr. Hyde and Dr. Jekyll. And I knew what it was. I read Famous Monsters of Filmland magazine and all that. And I asked this guy, I said, can I take this out of the trash? He said, sure. And that's how it started. I still have that piece. It's under glass now because it's so old, because it was a foam half mask. But I started collecting all that stuff. I've always loved Halloween. I've always loved special effects. And I spent my entire career in comedy, but my hobby was the polarity of that, which was all the horror and sci-fi stuff.
Very cool.
Yeah, I obtain a lot of this stuff through auctions. Some of the special effects guys and costumers who make it are friends of mine, so I pick it up some of it that way. But most of it's purchased through auctions in public forums. This is Michael Goff's glasses and his suit from Batman. He played Alfred. Over here we have Sam Jackson's original costume stuntman from the Avengers Age of Ultron. It looks exactly like him. They made this because he was doing some stunt riding in a car, so basically that was an effects dummy. But that's his suit and his effects head. More Batman. Here we have George Clooney and Chris O'Donnell from Batman and Robin standing next to, these are all their screen-used costumes. Those are called the ice costumes. And he's standing next to Arnold Schwarzenegger, who's Mr. Freeze. Interesting enough, that costume weighs 84 pounds. So it's hard to walk around in that thing. They could only have him in it for about a half an hour at a time. We're going to see some Predator stuff. That's exactly the same thing. Huge, big, heavy things that the stuntman had to wear. But Schwarzenegger was a good sport. He put up with that for a long time. In the back is Sylvester Stallone's hero costume from Judge Dredd. Down here we have Tobey Maguire's hero costume from Spider-Man 2. And what's interesting about that is it has a muscle suit underneath it. That's why he looks like he's built like that. All of these guys normally wear muscle suits. This is so cool. I love this thing. Willem Dafoe's original Green Goblin helmet from Spider-Man.
Very cool.
If you go up on the top there, that's one of Christopher Reeve's flying suits from Superman and Superman 2. And the reason it's from both movies is Dick Donner directed both of those, and they shot all the flying scenes at one time. So that's the suit that he had on in the flying scenes.
So since this was a private collection, was this displayed in your house at one point? Or?
No. My wife and I actually live in a completely normal house. We don't live in like the Addams Family house.
Okay.
You'd never know. I have a theater in my house, and there's like 50 effects heads on a wall, but 50 effects heads in a collection of 3,000 pieces is not really much stuff. So there's not a lot of stuff in our house, but I've always kept it either in storage or getting ready to tour it or whatever it was. And so here's Val Kilmer's Sonar suit from Batman Forever. And all of these bat suits are made out of neoprene. Absolutely gorgeous. They hold their sculpt and their form really, really well. That's Kilmer's hero costume he had on. Now we come over here. We have Christian Bale's production-made bat suit from The Dark Knight. And of course you know who he's standing right in front of right there. And so this is... I guess he didn't like you. There he goes. Cool. He's sitting down again. I guess that was, yeah.
Now, when you acquire the costumes, do they come like this, like on the mannequins?
No.
Or, so you get
most of the stuff I build. If I get the effects heads, I usually build and put those on a mannequin, and then the costumes will accompany them. Most of the costumes I buy, you come just as costumes. So you have to build the mannequins. And again, I'm a stickler for height, weight, everything that matches the actor. So there's a lot of detail work that goes into that. And the thing about collecting also is you have to collect, And then a lot of stuff has to be restored. I don't like to show stuff that's beat up. I'll show you some examples as we get on later on about some stuff that was really trash that I had to rebuild, which I'm actually very proud of. But I want people to see them the way they appeared in the movies. So here we have the Spawn costume, that's an original, and we also have an original Thing costume from Fantastic Four. We'll come around the other side and see the rest of the guys in a while.
Dinosaurs, now I'm getting excited.
These dinosaurs are all screen used, most of them built by the Stan Winston Company.
Jeez.
That's the hero T-Rex head from Jurassic Park 2. The one that tries to take the kids out of the cars around the corner, we'll see that in a minute. But the size of these things, they all weigh like 600 pounds. They have the hydraulics still in them. These things are unbelievable, beautifully made. Everybody recognizes them and they're a lot of fun. So I have a whole bunch of Jurassic Park stuff that we're gonna see.
That's awesome.
And then here we have, you know what this is?
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is my favorite figure in the whole show. There's a fantastic English sculptor, English effects guy named Mike Hill, who does the best recreations of the Universal characters and the older film characters. This is his version of Margaret Hamilton as the Wicked Witch. And the reason I like it so much is Judy Garland was my next door neighbor. I used to talk to her about the movie all the time, and she told me that Hamilton, who by the way was only 36 when she made this movie, people thought she was some old lady. She said she was the nicest, sweetest person. Couldn't have been nicer, 36 years old, and 5'1", so they had to have her on lifts all the time. And because she was a small person, but she said that everything about Hamilton was great. People loved having her around, it was great. This is Mila Kunis's original costume, hat and broom from Oz the Great and Powerful, and that's also her face and life cast. Her face there, that's her life cast, and all the makeup is built on her life cast, which includes the chin, the nose, the eyebrows, everything. And of course, you know who these guys are.
Of course, the Gremlins.
The Gremlins, we got a lot of Gremlins, including Gizmo. All this stuff was built by Rick Baker, because this was all for Gremlins 2. Gremlins 2 and Gremlins 1. They kept the designs of the bad guy and Gizmos, but they did change some other stuff with the new film. So, and some of these you can see in the back, the puppet rotting machines and mechanisms where they used to puppeteer them.
Now, you know, a lot of times studios have their own archives, and I can understand they can't hold on to everything, but it's kind of crazy how you have so much of the, you know, screen used and like the really featured stuff. How do you get it from the studios?
The studios began to realize about 20 years ago. Now remember, that's real late in movie history. They began to realize that there was a huge market in selling stuff. So a lot of this stuff was sold by the studios, some of it at auction for charity. So they sold a lot of it for charity. But in the old days, as I said earlier, they used to throw stuff out. So if you could pick the stuff up, or if the studios would let them get into auction houses, that's where you could do it. The studios surprisingly don't keep a lot of stuff. Warner Brothers has actually the best costume archive. But it's really strange how much stuff gets thrown out. And as far as the Warner Brothers archive is concerned, I actually have like 3 times more stuff of their own stuff than they have. That's the Brachiosaurus that sneezes on the girl in Jurassic Park 1.
In the tree, right?
Yeah. This, I love this thing. This is the Pteranodon head from Jurassic Park 3, and just lately, I bought the entire nest, which has 5 of the babies, the mother, everything, and she's feeding them. It's like so amazing. And then this maquette is not a dinosaur, it's actually a dragon from Reign of Fire. That's a Christian Bale movie made in 2002. And maquettes are the things that they manufacture for the directors. They make miniatures and show them the paint jobs, the teeth, the eyes. The director signs off on that, and then most of the time the maquettes then become the information that goes into computers for 360 rendering, just because a lot of these things end up as computer image. Now what I really like about the Jurassic Park stuff is Stan Winston's company built all these things, like that Spinosaur head. That's all full size. They do that very rarely anymore. Practically all the time now, things are done by computer like Winston. Now here we are. We have a lot of orcs. Peter Jackson's a friend of mine. He sent me some of these personally. This one's from The Hobbit. A couple of the other ones are from Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring. This is the hero orc, Lurtz, from the first movie. Excuse me. This is the hero Cyclops head from Chronicles of Narnia. That's actually on the one sheet. All of the cables are still inside of him. 2 slee stacks from Land of the Lost. Now I brought these particular 2 because I have a bunch of these, but I brought these 2 because the tan guy is kind of the leader and the green guys are kind of like the soldiers. So I wanted you to see all of them. And then this guy right here, this is Goro from Mortal Kombat, the guy with 4 arms. Again, very, very heavy costumes that have to be manipulated by mechanics and stuntmen, and I wouldn't want to be one of them. This is Darth Vader. was built by ILM as a touring costume for The Empire Strikes Back. And this head inside the box, that's production made also from Empire Strikes Back. Oh no, it's from New Hope, sorry. That's from New Hope. That's Boba Fett from the second movie. If we turn the corner, we're going to see C-3PO and a whole bunch of Star Wars characters. A lot of them screen used that you're going to see. The robot of KSRO, that's the only one that they ever built that was on stage. Most of that was a CGI imaging, but he was used as a stand-in. Peter Cushing, his Grand Moff Tarkin. There he is from the first movie. When we go around the corner, we'll get a better look at some of this stuff. Now, this is cool. Check this out. I'm sorry, I get very excited about all this.
I love that you get excited. How many years have you had all this stuff, or a lot of it? Like, you've been doing it forever, but you still love it.
I'm like the biggest kid in here.
Yeah.
These are like my friends.
It's awesome.
It's so cool. It's like my family. Here's Jennifer Lawrence's complete battle costume from Hunger Games Catching Fire, and everything in that photograph, the bow, the arrows, the quiver, and the entire costume is right there.
Wow.
That's her hero costume and everything she had on. Okay, and here, this is Kate Beckinsale's costume from Underworld Evolution, and if you look at this, it looks like she's poured into that. That Kate Beckinsale is very small. It's a spandex suit with this halter top. That's all from Underworld.
How do you decide if it needs to go behind glass or if it can be out in the open display?
Usually it's the stuff that I think people will try to play with the most.
Gotcha.
And so what's missing here that we had at the other show were tables and tables of effects heads.
Gotcha.
And all of those, like the apes in this, were always behind glass because we just didn't want people playing.
Yeah.
I love this, you guys. Look at this. This is Ray Fiennes, one of his original wands. You know, you can't say his name.
Oh,
you know.
no.
You know what to do. But check this out. I love this piece. This came from England. This is his original envelope. It's got the seal, the sealing wax seal on the back. And that's one of the original letters, his Hogwarts acceptance letter, which not only is a letter to Mr. Potter, but also all the requirements that they need to get into Hogwarts.
So cool.
Here's his original costume from Deadly Hallows Part 2, standing next to Dobby. So all this Harry Potter stuff, I have more of it, but this stuff is the best. I love that. This is an endoskeleton that's screen used that's from Terminator 3. That's from Terminator 3. That's Schwarzenegger's hero costume. That's one of Robert Patrick's hero shirts with the expanding bullet holes. That's from Terminator 2, and all the cables that make those things breathe are behind it. I got this from Stan Winston personally. That's Arnold Schwarzenegger's costume and his stunt head makeup from the second movie. And you know, in that movie, as you guys know, he goes through various stages of deterioration on his face because he gets shot up, and first he looks normal and he looks happy. That's when he's in pretty bad shape before the end of the movie. But in this box, on the far left, is a test makeup made by Stan Winston that nobody saw. You're the only guy seeing this. That shows the entire half of his face. Half of his face looks normal, the half of his face is the robot, but they never use that in the movie. And both the hand and the head, that's from the main titles, and that's one of the hero hands from the movie. Here we have Mark Hamill's light cast, and that's from Return of the Jedi. That's a Yoda puppet that was built for the second movie when he appears for the first time. That's a screen-used Tusken Raider helmet in the back. This is one of Ray Park's original costumes as Darth Maul from Phantom Menace. Someone tried to buy that off me a couple months ago, but I don't want to say what they are.
Not enough, apparently.
Sand Trooper from the first movie, and so on and so on. Ewok from the third. The Metaluna Mutant was a famous monster that came out of Universal in 1955 for a movie called This Island Earth. Now, I found the original head mold, hand mold, and feet mold. So I rebuilt this. That's a reproduction built from the original molds of the head, hands, and feet. But the funny thing is, if you look at this movie must have encouraged a lot of other filmmakers or influenced them, because if you see the giant brains and all the Mars Attacks guys, it's basically the same thing. All the Mars Attacks box, the rocket gun, those are all screen used, and there's the eyeball ring that Lisa Marie uses to sneak into the White House. And one of those red skeletons is where that's at the end of the movie when all of them burn up. The rest of this stuff is from Men in Black. That's a worm guy, all built by Rick Baker. A split guy head. This is Joey, the mailroom alien from Men in Black. All the cables right down here that control him. He's a full puppet. You can see those. On the ground, this dead alien is from a movie called Cocoon. That's Ron Howard's film. And here are two original aliens from Independence Day. The one with the little guy, or not the little guy, but with the alien coming out of it is the autopsy alien that lays on the table. So that's the only host and parasite alien they ever made for the movie. Those are completely made out of silicone. Here's a Klingon costume from Star Trek Voyager and a stud head. And behind that is Leonard Nimoy as he appeared in the Star Trek series. Both of these won Academy Awards. So here we have Tim Roth, Helena Bonham Carter, Michael Clark Duncan, Paul Giamatti, Kim Evans, Roddy McDowell, Maurice Evans. All of these actors in ape makeup won Academy Awards. And here's an original gorilla warrior in costume from the first Planet of the Apes. So we put that next to a gorilla warrior from the second Planet of the Apes. So you can see, obviously, the remake. The apes were more imposing, kind of scarier. However, the first movie was a better movie. The second movie sucked. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're a movie. This
Holy moly.
took me a long time to get. It's Anthony Hopkins' original muzzle mask they take him off the plane with in Silence of the Lambs as Hannibal Lecter. I love that. And next to it is Hannibal, and that's one of his screen use straitjackets and his prison uniform. All of that stuff's from the same movie. Behind you, we know who that is. That's Jack
nice.
Nicholson from The Shining, and he's got his original coat, axe, and shirt on.
Wow.
And if you look carefully at this figure, you see he's got, well, I can touch it, you got it. He's got punched hair, his 5 o'clock shadow, acrylic teeth, glass eyes, and he's even sweating. Just like he was in the movie, that's all silicone sweat.
It's awesome.
Here's a figure that I love, 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 love. This is the Pale Man. That is,
I love
that
this
is
one.
the best.
Yes.
That's the best.
Dead
I
Silence,
love
right?
that movie.
Me too.
Dead Silence. That's Mary Shaw's original costume and her makeup. That's Judith Roberts holding one of the original dummies. I got that from Dave Anderson, the guy that did all of the film. And I just love that movie. It's James Wan's second movie, and it was an underrated movie that didn't do very well. And
Totally.
It's a great movie.
Love it. Okay, sorry, I interrupted over
Here's
here.
the Pale Man from Pan's Labyrinth. This is the guy that sees with his hands. The blood coming out of his mouth is because he's just finished eating those fairies that were on the table, and he's after that young girl. This is awesome. I was born and raised a Catholic, so I always thought names were scary. Now I'll tell you guys, most of the tour guys don't tell. I'll tell you something cool about this. When I bought Erin's costume, and this is from The Nun, she had first appeared in The Conjuring.
Right.
I think that's really scary. Bonnie's face is that face with simply the white and the cracks on it. There's no other makeup on it. But when I bought this thing, in the pocket, they left her contacts.
Oh,
So those contacts were actually in her eyes.
Amazing.
And that's her costume.
Amazing.
Very cool.
Now we know who this is.
Of
Yeah.
course.
Doug Bradley from Hellraiser. That's one of his original costumes from the first movie, including the tools that he used and one of the puzzle boxes. I think the puzzle box is from 2, but you're the only guys I'm telling that to. Now we know who this is.
Freddy.
Freddy. Freddy's always a big hero and he comes and visits everybody when he... Oh man! He got that.
Oh,
got
he
you.
got me.
Oh, that got you. That was great. Now you know who this is. John Carroll Lynch.
Yeah.
This is John Carroll Lynch's original costume. It's Twisty from American Horror Story. Another time where here you have an actor who's like one of the nicest guys ever. So there it is. Super nice guy. Now you know what this is. I love this thing. This is the girl. This is Amber Tamlin's body. The girl they find in the closet in the ring.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
Amazing.
And you know everybody who dies has that elongated look. Yeah, and there it is.
Wow.
Yeah. It's really cool.
That one should be in your house in a closet, let's face it.
Well, I had the Exorcist dummy in my bed, and my wife said, no, no. Now, you know who this is.
Of course.
This is Pennywise from It. Now, that's Bill Skarsgård's original costume. He's in his makeup, his screen-used makeup, and the woman standing next to him is the portrait lady. Some people don't know that, but if you know the movie well, that's that twisted woman who comes out of the pictures. Yeah, when I got this, it came from Rob Bottein's lab. That's the spider head from The Thing. That thing was trashed, and I had it completely rebuilt, and I'm so proud of it. It looks so great. You guys, everything you see are costumes. That's the costume of the alien that kills Paul Reiser in the second movie. That alien is one of the chirotube face clingers from the second movie, from Aliens. This is a bullwhip predator from Alien vs. Predator. Over here. You know what this is? Oh, yeah. That's Sigourney Weaver's cloned body from Alien Resurrection. That's how the movie starts, actually on that prop. And you guys, this is the holy grail of alien costumes. That's the first costume from the first movie. It took me about 5 years to put that thing together, and here it is. Came from different sources, including some from Hong Kong. Here's Ian Holmes' head as Ash, the evil robot when they knock his head off in the movie, and then he talks to them. So that's what that is. Behind you here is a Predator suit from Predator 2, another huge suit. This is the hybrid alien from Alien vs. Predator. Here's 2 War Party heads from Predator 2 as well. This is one of the Hunter Predator suits. These are all suits. Stuntmen wore all of these. Yeah. This is from the movie Predators. This is the Alien Resurrection Newborn. This thing thinks it's Sigourney Weaver's mom. And you know what this thing is? The best thing ever. Look at that. That's the Queen Alien, and all the eggs are from the hive, and so are all the face cuts. Oh my God. Now you guys, this is a maquette that Stan Winston built. This was built before that was built, and I'm telling you, every single line on this thing is exactly the same as the lines on that. It's literally exactly the same down to the last bit. Here's a puppet from the Alien. Hey, check this out. Here's one of the clone dogs from The Thing, and you'll like this. You didn't know this, I bet, but the face clingers, they had these really strange like signatures on them that do stuff. I got him again.
He's a jumpy guy.
You're a great audience. I love it. I love it. Okay, guys, this is from. Check this out. 94 pounds.
Wow.
It's a complete foam suit and resin armaments, and the guy that wore this, who was 7'3", they had to take him out of it or pump air into it every 20 minutes. Wow. This is from the first movie, first Schwarzenegger movie. This is from a movie called Predators. So this is a tracker predator. And here's another, this is called the Celtic Predator from Alien vs. Predator. Again, all of this stuff, beautiful, beautiful stuff. All the costume. This, Alien Resurrection, one of the only full costumes they made. And you can imagine running around these as stuntmen.
Chucky.
This is all original Chucky stuff. That doll is from the first movie. The 2 in the back are from Bride of Chucky. Those are all original Chucky dolls. The head in the middle was worn by a stuntman named Ed Gale, who's 30 inches tall. I directed him in a Family Matters episode, and he's still a friend of mine. He gave me that head. This is a good guy doll from Child's Play, and a good guy box that they made hundreds of. Jack Skellington in real life is only a miniature this big. But that was in Burton's office, so I thought I'd get it. Here's a bunch of more Freddy stuff, including the original glove from Freddy 3, New Nightmare, A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 again. All of that stuff is original. This is all from Freddy 5. That's including his original makeup, his glove, his hat, his shirt, sweater, everything. As you come over here, you know who that is, right?
Jigsaw.
That's the Jigsaw. Oh, I got my leg. This guy is having more fun than anybody. To hear that, he went down and rang the bell. This is Jason Voorhees' mask and costume from Friday the 13th, the final chapter, which of course is never the final chapter. And you guys, a lot of people didn't know, Anthony Hopkins also played a werewolf in The Wolfman. Everyone thought he was famous for Lecter, but this is a beautiful Rick Baker suit. And by the way, all of that hair is hand punched. So that's Hopkins. I love that makeup. Behind you is an alien from Alien 3. Check out the paint job. Look at the paint job.
I made that up.
And that's Jim Carrey's makeup, as well as Peter Green's makeup as Dorian. So both Stanley and Dorian from the Mask. Over here, these are the first 2 zombies that were ever built for The Walking Dead by Greg Nicotero. The one on the left is Patient Zero. That's the first zombie they ever had. And the one on the right is Bicycle Girl. And above that is Rick Baker's makeup on Michael Jackson for Thriller.
That's crazy.
That's the zombie look. And then over here, we have the werewolf look. So both versions of Michael Jackson, all that stuff came from Rick Baker.
Yeah, that was nightmare-inducing for me. I never knew there was a music portion of that video until I was an adult, because I left the room the second the werewolf came to be.
Gotcha. Here's an interesting story. The Creature from the Black Lagoon land suit was thrown out by Universal in 1960. If you had it now, if you had found it and taken it out of the trash, it'd be worth about $1.2 million. Anyway, they threw this out. I rebuilt this all from original molds, but I rebuilt it for Hugh Hefner, who was one of my best friends. I ran the Playboy Halloween party for 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Here's Hef.
Oh, in the grotto.
In the grotto, and the creature was in the grotto.
That's awesome.
So I used to go to the Playboy a lot, and people would say to me, so, hey, what goes on in the grotto? And I'm like, I don't know, but I know the Creature from the Black Lagoon was there.
Ask him.
Yeah. You guys, Mike Hill's version of the most famous face in silent horror, that's Lon Chaney Sr. is the Phantom of the Opera, and then this, I love this movie, the 1939 Hunchback of Notre Dame. Fantastic. Here's what I was talking about. You can see some of the deterioration on this. Is the first T-Rex head built for Jurassic Park. That's the one that tries to take the kids out of the car. It's still in good condition. It still has the hydraulics in it, but you can see, especially since this worked in so much water,
right,
the rainstorm, a lot of it's beginning to deteriorate, but I wanted people to see what it looked like. This is the hero T-Rex baby that gets kidnapped in Lost World. That's what the whole movie's about. There's a whole bunch of maquettes that were built for Spielberg by the Stan Winston Company for Jurassic Park 1 and 2. And behind it, the sick Triceratops. That's sick when Laura Dern tries to help him out. Oh, guys, you can't have a show like this without these guys.
Amazing.
There's the Bride of Frankenstein. That's Elsa Lanchester. Love her. And of course, the most famous face in horror movies. That's Boris Karloff as Frankenstein. A lot of people didn't realize it, but Karloff was like 5'11".
Right.
He wasn't a tall guy. He wasn't a big guy. But with the big shoes and the suits of padding, everybody thought he was a giant. And here's my favorite screen vampire, obviously. I always loved Bela Lugosi. He's one of the only guys I didn't meet. I met Karloff, I met Chaney, I met a lot of guys. I never met him, he died when I was too young, but I loved Dracula. That's one of the first horror movies I ever saw, and it really scared me. Life casts. These are all life casts of the famous horror stars. Lawton, Karloff, Lugosi, Rathbone, Peter Lorre. The only one that's not a horror star is Bruce Lee. I put that in there because I found that. I found the original life cast of Bruce Lee at Fox. They made that for the Green Hornet. Here's Karloff as he appeared in The Mummy in the beginning of the movie. And then later on he becomes a man and walks around, and it's this guy right here. Beautiful Mike Hill recreation of his face, but that's such a great face. I thought that was scary too. The baby Stegosaurus is from Jurassic Park 2. That's what Juliana Moore is trying to take pictures of that gets her in trouble. Another beautiful raptor insert head from 2. And this is a hero female alpha raptor. That actual statue was the first one they built, and that was in Stan's office. So that's one of the first ones ever built. And here we have another really nice raptor head. He's coming after you though. Mike is looking. You guys, the most famous werewolf in movies, The Wolfman, 1941, Lon Chaney. Beautiful, beautiful copy of him. Again, Mike Hill. And then here's Rick Baker's build of An American Werewolf in London, which is an extremely famous werewolf movie. This movie came out the same year from The Howling. That's one of the original costumes from The Howling, the whole thing. So we have both The Howling and American Werewolf in London, both of them from 1981.
Does this have mechanics in it, or is that a separate head?
This one?
Yeah.
No, this was just built as a display.
Oh, okay.
And that's got a mannequin under it, but that's one of the screen-used costumes the stuntman had on.
Awesome.
And this was obviously something rebuilt for me by Mike. Okay, now look at this, you guys. Over here, we have Beetlejuice. That's Keaton's original costume, sitting next to the shrunken head that he sees at the end of the movie. The snake is from Beetlejuice, and you guys, this is Heath Ledger's shirt, vest, and tie. But look at the figure. Everybody thinks this guy's alive. They all think, okay, this guy's gonna jump at us.
Right.
It's so beautiful. We have him on a billboard outside the place. This is Joseph Bashara's screen-used makeup effects head and costume from The Conjuring. He's the guy that menaces all the girls and sits on top of the dresser. Everyone thought it was a woman. It's actually a guy. And he was also the composer.
Oh, wow.
And here we have, of course, one of the most famous things ever. That's a Linda Blair head. Got you again. I'm telling you, this guy is awesome. I love him. This is Vladimir Furtick's original stunt head and his costume. This is the Night King from the Game of Thrones. This was used over the course of several seasons. Used in seasons 3 and 4, but that's the main bad guy. Spear used to kill the dragon. Excuse me. Here's Ron Perlman's original coat, clothes, gun, and his makeup on his life cast as Hellboy. And next to that is a Doug Jones. Doug Jones is the guy that does most of this stuff now. He plays a lot of these characters. This is from Hellboy as well, and that's Abe Sapien. That's his sidekick. This is the Beast from X-Men First Class. Again, a beautiful costume that was completely hand-punched. All the hair is completely hand-punched.
Wow.
This is the original Rocketeer costume and helmet. On the back is the pack, but notice here, he's even got the accelerator. He's even got the accelerator button.
They got her.
They got her all right.
Oh gosh, Benjamin Button.
Brad Pitt is an old man, a young man, and the baby born as an old man. From The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Again, all screen use stuff. Greg Cameron won an Academy Award for that. He's also my bud. Look at this. Here's a great Dr. Doom costume from Fantastic Four. And another Doug Jones costume. Doug Jones is the Silver Surfer. I've got 3 of his costumes in the show. But there he is as the Silver Surfer. Now when we move down a little bit further, you'll see this naked woman. That's Rebecca Romaine as Mystique from X-Men. And later she was replaced by Jennifer Lawrence, and I also have that figure. This is Jim Carrey's original costume and Rick Baker's Academy Award winning makeup. This Carrey is the Grinch. Wow. From How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Here's something my wife doesn't like. She doesn't like spiders. These are 3 hero Big Bob spiders from Arachnophobia. Arachnophobia made in 1990. Everybody who didn't like spiders, for some reason, went to that movie. So that was great. And then this is a gorgeous full screen use costume of Harry from Harry and the Hendersons. Rick Baker gave me that head. So that's an effects head. It's wearing the entire costume. And I love this so much. Johnny Depp's original costume is Edward Scissorhands. This is so cool. I love having this. I like that movie a lot. And then here's one of the original Scissorhands. Wow. So, and here's the costume. So that's really cool. I love that. And if you come down here, here's Vinnie Jones's Juggernaut costume from X-Men Last Stand. Now you guys, Brandon Lee was somebody who was an acquaintance of mine. I had a couple of luncheons with him. And you know, on this movie, he was killed. This was one of his hero costumes. I'm sure this isn't the costume he was wearing, but there are lots of bullet holes all over it. But this is Brandon Lee from The Crow. I loved him. I wanted him in the show. It's a famous movie, so there you go. In the back is Nick Cage's biker costume from Ghost Rider. This is Tony Stark's racing jacket from Iron Man 2. And this is so cool. This is the costume that he gets kidnapped in when he's showing off the Jericho Project in the first movie. There's an Iron Man costume from Avengers Age of Ultron where he's standing. That was in the back of Tony Stark's lab. Oh, and by the way, in Iron Man, there's a scene where Gwyneth Paltrow is trying to put his heart into a cylinder without electrocuting him and being very cautious. That's the actual heart right there. Robin Williams was someone I worked with for 3 years on Mork and Mindy. That's a screen-use costume, makeup, and wig from Mrs. Doubtfire. Here's Christopher Lloyd's original costume and remote control from Back to the Future, which I loved. And we end with one of the only statues, complete statues, that the studio made of E.T. That was mostly a puppet or a little person walking around, but this was a completed statue. It's like a stand-in. So
That's awesome.
you guys, I hope you're having a lot of fun seeing this stuff, because you can see that I get really excited. I love showing people all this stuff. So I'm glad that you got to take a good look at it. Tell everybody to come down and see it.